Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
One introduction. Imagine a very smart person who could not find a job. This happened to Albert Einstein. For 9 years after university, he had trouble getting work. This story is about his early life. It looks at why he had difficult years after finishing his studies. We will understand the reasons for his long struggle. Albert Einstein was a brilliant student at university. He liked to study science and math deeply. He often chose to learn advanced topics on his own. Because of this, he sometimes missed his regular classes. This made some of his teachers unhappy. They did not like his independent way of studying. One teacher even called him a lazy dog. These difficult relationships with his teachers caused problems later. When he finished university, these problems became bigger. His teachers did not write good letters of recommendation for him. These letters are very important for getting a job, especially in science. Because he did not have strong recommendations, many universities did not want to hire him. He sent many applications to places all over Europe, but he received rejections in return. He tried to take small jobs like tutoring children, but he lost even these simple positions. His father was very sad about Albert's situation. He worried a lot about his son's future. He even wrote letters to other scientists asking them to hire Albert, but he received no replies. His father later passed away, believing his son was not successful. This made Albert very sad for a long time. This chapter introduces the big problem Albert faced: a highly intelligent person who could not find a proper job for many years after his studies. 2. A different kind of student. Albert Einstein went to Zurich Polytechnic University to study physics and math. He was a very smart student, but he was not like most other students. He had a different way of learning. Albert was very curious about the world and how it worked. He loved to learn new things. Because of this, he often studied advanced subjects by himself. These were topics that were not always taught in his regular classes. He spent many hours reading complex books and thinking deeply about difficult science problems on his own. He believed that this personal study was the best way for him to truly understand the world of physics. He wanted to explore ideas beyond what was expected in his lessons. He found great joy and deep understanding in this independent learning. However, because Albert spent so much time studying by himself, he often missed his regular university classes. He sometimes felt that these classes were not very interesting. This choice made some of his professors very unhappy. They did not like that he often did not come to their lessons. They thought he was not respectful of their teaching. One professor named Heinrich Weber was especially annoyed by Albert's independent attitude. Professor Weber wanted his students to follow the rules and attend all classes. He did not like Albert's rebellious spirit. Another professor, Hermann Minkowski, even called Albert a lazy dog. This shows how unhappy some of his teachers were with him. They saw a student who often skipped class and did not always listen. These poor relationships grew over Albert's time at the university. These difficult relationships would cause big problems for Albert after he finished his studies. When students graduate, their professors often write letters of recommendation for them. These letters are very important for finding a job, especially in universities or research. But because Albert did not have good relationships with his teachers, they would not write him strong letters. This lack of support from his professors would make it very hard for him to find a job in science. His different way of being a student and his strong desire to learn on his own terms would have a lasting effect on his life after university. 3. The difficult job search. After university, a new and difficult challenge began for Albert Einstein. He had finished his studies, but he did not have a job. Most students hoped to find work quickly, especially in their chosen field. However, for Einstein, this was not easy at all. He wanted to work at a university or as a researcher. He believed he had important ideas and skills to offer to the world of science. He was ready to start his professional life, but academic doors remained closed. This was a source of great frustration. One main problem was that his professors did not write strong letters of recommendation for him. During his time at university, Einstein often studied what interested him most, not always following the regular classes. This approach had made some of his teachers unhappy. Now, this behavior caused a big problem for his future. When he applied for jobs, universities always asked for letters from his old professors. Without good recommendations, it was very difficult to get a job interview. It was even harder to receive a job offer. The lack of support from his former teachers was a significant barrier. Einstein worked very hard to find a position in academia. He sent many applications to different universities and research institutions. He wrote letters to many important scientists across Europe, hoping someone would give him a chance. He waited for replies full of hope and expectation, but one by one the answers came back. Each letter brought disappointment. They were all rejections. No university wanted to hire him for a teaching or research role. This was a hard truth to accept for a brilliant young man who felt he had much to contribute. Months passed, and Einstein was still unemployed. He needed money to live and support himself. Because he could not find work in science, he had to look for other kinds of jobs. He took small, temporary jobs to earn some income. For example, he tried tutoring children in math and science. He helped them with their schoolwork and prepared them for exams. These jobs were not what he wanted to do. They were far from his dream of being a scientist and working on complex physics problems. Even these simple jobs did not last long. He was fired from some of them after only a short time. He found it hard to fit into these roles, and the employers were not always happy with his teaching style or commitment. This period was very challenging for Einstein. He was a smart young man, full of brilliant ideas and a deep understanding of physics, but he could not find a stable job. He faced constant rejection and the worry of unemployment every day. It was a time of great struggle and uncertainty for him. He continued to search, sending out more applications, always hoping for a breakthrough and an opportunity to use his talents. The path ahead seemed long and unclear. 4. A father's sadness. After university, Albert Einstein found himself in a very difficult time. He was a smart young man, full of ideas, but he could not find a proper job. This made him feel very sad and worried. Every day was a struggle. He had no steady income. He tried to get small jobs like teaching children, but even those did not last. He was often fired because he did not fit the usual way of teaching. He felt like a failure, and this feeling grew stronger with each passing week. He had big dreams for his future in science, but they seemed far away. His father, Hermann Einstein, watched his son's struggles with a heavy heart. Hermann was a kind man who loved his son very much. He saw Albert's intelligence, but he also saw his son's inability to find work. Hermann worried deeply about Albert's future. He wanted his son to be successful and happy. It was hard for him to see Albert without a clear path forward. Hermann often spoke to Albert about finding a stable job, but Albert's passion was science, not a regular office job. Hermann decided to do something to help his son. He knew many important scientists, so he took the time to write many letters. In these letters, Hermann asked these scientists if they could give his son a job. He described Albert's bright mind and his love for physics. He hoped that someone would see Albert's potential and offer him a chance. Hermann sent these letters with much hope. He waited for replies day after day, but sadly no good news came. Most of the scientists did not write back. The few replies he received were rejections. This made Hermann even more worried and sad for Albert. As time went on, Hermann's health became worse. The stress of his own business problems, combined with his deep concern for Albert, weighed heavily on him. He continued to worry about Albert's future. He still hoped that Albert would find his way, but the hope became smaller each day. In 1902, a very sad event happened. Hermann Einstein passed away. He died thinking that his intelligent son, Albert, was a failure. He believed Albert would never find success in his life. This thought brought great sadness to Albert. He loved his father very much. Knowing that his father died with such a heavy heart, believing his son had failed, was very painful for Albert. He felt a deep sorrow and a sense of regret. He wished his father could have lived long enough to see him succeed. Albert carried this sadness with him. It was a strong memory of his father's love and his father's worry. This difficult time, full of unemployment and his father's sadness, made Albert even more determined to prove himself. He wanted to make his father proud even after he was gone. 5. Help from a friend. Einstein was still in a very difficult place. He had no steady job. His father had passed away, and this made Einstein feel very sad. He had tried many small jobs, but nothing worked out. He felt like a failure. It was a low point in his young life. He was a very smart man, but the world did not seem to have a place for him. He needed a chance, a real opportunity to use his mind. Luckily, Einstein had a good friend named Marcel Grossman. Marcel knew Einstein well. They had studied together at the university. Marcel always thought Einstein was brilliant. He saw Einstein's struggles and felt bad for him. Marcel knew how smart Einstein was, even if the professors did not see it. He believed Einstein deserved a good job, a job that matched his intelligence. Marcel wanted to help his friend. He did not want to see Einstein give up on his dreams. Marcel had an idea. His own father was a respected man. He knew many important people in Switzerland. Marcel decided to talk to his father about Einstein. He explained Einstein's situation. He told his father about Einstein's intelligence and his deep interest in physics. Marcel's father listened carefully. He understood that Einstein was in a tough spot. He also respected his son's judgment about his friend. Marcel's father knew the director of the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. This was a government office where people sent their ideas for new inventions. The office needed people to check these ideas. Marcel's father thought this might be a good fit for Einstein. It was not a university job, but it was a stable job. It would give Einstein a regular income. So Marcel's father decided to help. He contacted the director of the patent office. He spoke highly of Einstein, telling the director about his intelligence and his strong work ethic. He recommended Einstein for a position there. This recommendation was a huge turning point for Einstein. When he heard about the possibility, he felt a spark of hope. After so many rejections and so much sadness, this was a chance. He quickly prepared himself and applied for the job. He was called for an interview. It was not easy, but he did his best. The director was impressed by Einstein's intelligence during the interview. Soon after, Einstein received the good news. He was offered a job as a technical expert, third class, at the Swiss Patent Office. This job was not his dream job as a professor, but it was a lifeline. It meant a steady income for the first time in years. It meant he could stop worrying about money for a while. It gave him a sense of purpose. It was a new start, a fresh opportunity. He moved to Bern, ready to begin this new chapter in his life. This help from his friend Marcel Grossman and Marcel's father truly saved him from a very difficult time. Einstein finally had a stable place to work, even if it was not in a university. It offered him more than just money. It offered him a chance to breathe and to think again. 6. A new start at the patent office. In the year 1902, Albert Einstein started an important new chapter in his life. He began working at the Swiss Patent Office. This office was located in the beautiful city of Bern. After a long and difficult time trying to find a proper job, this was a welcome change. He was hired as a technical expert, also known as a clerk. This new start brought much-needed stability to his life. His main task at the patent office was to examine new inventions. People from all over Switzerland would send their ideas for new machines, tools, or processes. Albert's job was to study these applications very carefully. He needed to determine if each invention was truly new and if it worked as described. He had to check existing patents to make sure no one had already invented the same thing. This work required a sharp mind and attention to detail. Albert was a very intelligent person, and he found the work manageable. He quickly learned the rules and processes of the patent office. Because of his natural ability and quick thinking, he often finished his required tasks faster than his colleagues. This created a unique opportunity for him. He found himself with many hours each day at his desk where his official duties were already completed. These quiet hours were not wasted. Instead, they became a precious gift. During this free time, Albert was able to focus on his own scientific interests. He did not just sit idly. His mind was always active, thinking about the big questions of physics. He thought about the nature of light, how time passed, and the vastness of space. He would often read scientific papers or write down his own complex ideas. The quiet office, filled with the sounds of papers shuffling and pens scratching, became a place where his most profound thoughts began to take shape. The job also provided him with a steady income, which was very important. After years of financial uncertainty, Albert finally had a regular salary. This money, though not large, was enough to live on comfortably. It allowed him to make plans for his personal life. With this newfound financial security, he was able to marry his longtime girlfriend, Milva Merrick. They had waited for this moment, and now they could build their life together as husband and wife. The Swiss Patent Office offered more than just a job. It offered a unique environment. It was a place where Albert could earn a living and at the same time pursue his true passion for science. The routine work provided structure, while the extra time allowed his genius to flourish. He was able to explore complex theories and develop groundbreaking concepts. It was in this seemingly ordinary office that the seeds of revolutionary scientific ideas were planted, ideas that would later change the world's understanding of physics forever. This period was a crucial step in his journey, giving him the space and time he needed to think, learn, and create. 7. A year of amazing ideas. The year 1905 was a very special time for Albert Einstein. People later called it his miracle year. He was still working at the Swiss Patent Office. His job was to examine new inventions. It was a simple job, but it gave him something very important: quiet time. He could finish his work quickly, and then he had many hours at his desk to think about his own ideas in physics. While others worked on patent documents, Einstein worked on the biggest questions about the universe. In that one year, he wrote 4 very important papers. These papers changed science forever. They presented new ways of thinking about the world that no one had thought of before. One paper was about how light behaves and how it can act like small packets of energy. This was called the photoelectric effect. Another paper explained why tiny particles move in a strange way when they are in a liquid or gas. This was called Brownian motion. But 2 of his papers were even more groundbreaking. One was about how space and time work together. This was the special theory of relativity. It introduced his most famous idea, E equals mc2. This equation showed that energy and mass are not separate things but are deeply connected. It meant that a very small amount of mass could be changed into a very large amount of energy. His 4th paper was about the size of molecules. These ideas were amazing. They were like complex puzzles that no one else could solve. Einstein solved them while sitting quietly at his office desk, working a normal job. It was a surprising thing. A person in a simple government office was changing the way the world understood physics. He was not a university professor. He did not have a big laboratory. He just had his mind and his pen. However, the world did not know about his genius right away. Many scientists did not understand his papers at first. His ideas were very new and very different from what people believed. So for some time, he remained a patent clerk. People did not see him as a great scientist yet. The scientific community was slow to recognize the importance of his work. This quiet revolution, born in a small office, would take time to be fully understood and celebrated. But the seeds of modern physics were planted in that single, incredible year. 8. A professor at last. After his miracle year, in 1905, Albert Einstein had published 4 very important scientific papers. These papers contained new and revolutionary ideas like E equals mc2. They would change how people understood physics. However, the scientific world was slow to understand their importance. Many scientists did not immediately see the genius in his work. Because of this slow recognition, Einstein still could not get a university job. He had dreamed of being a professor, teaching and researching at a university. But even with his amazing papers, he remained a clerk at the Swiss Patent Office for several more years. He continued to work there, examining new inventions, while his scientific ideas slowly gained attention. Over time, more and more scientists began to read Einstein's papers. They discussed his ideas. Slowly, the scientific community started to see the deep value and new understanding his work offered. His name became more known in academic circles, and his theories started to be recognized as truly significant. Finally, in 1909, a big change happened. Einstein received an exciting offer. The University of Zurich wanted him to join their staff. They offered him a position as an associate professor. This was a moment of great joy and relief for him, as his long-held dream was finally coming true. It had been 9 long years since Einstein graduated from university. For all that time, he had struggled to find a proper academic job. He faced rejection after rejection, sometimes feeling very discouraged. His journey from an unemployed graduate to a respected university professor was long and difficult. But now, that challenging period was finally over, and a new chapter in his life began. Einstein's long wait teaches us a powerful lesson. Even people with extraordinary talent and groundbreaking ideas may not find success right away. They might face years of hard work and waiting. His story shows the importance of patience, determination, and believing in one's own work, even when others do not understand it immediately. He never stopped thinking or writing, developing his theories in his free time. This long wait proved that true genius often needs time to be recognized. At last, he was a professor, ready to inspire new generations of students and continue his groundbreaking research, which would change the world of science forever.